Hi everyone, and welcome to your tutorial on static routing. Well, let's take a look at our activity. The first thing that it asks us to do is to configure the two hosts with the information provided. Well, the first thing we're going to do is PC0. So I click on PC0 and I change to the desktop and I go to IP configuration and I type in the information that they give us. 10.0.0.2, the default subnet mask, and then the default gateway is 10.0.0.1. Now, just to review, what else do you know about the default gateway? Well, the default gateway is going to be this IP address on this router, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Now I'm going to configure PC1. And according to my instructions, the IP address of PC1 is 30.0.0.2. And I put in my default gateway. So next it tells us to configure the fast Ethernet and serial interfaces of both routers. Well, I'm going to come over here to router 0 and change to my command line interface. It comes up in user prompt. I can't do anything here, so I have to change to privileged by using enable. And then I have to get to global. Now in global configuration mode, the first thing I'm going to do is configure my fast Ethernet address. Well, let me see what fast Ethernet port it is on that router. When I point to this cable, see how it pops up with FA0/0? That's how I know which one I need to configure. So I type in interface FA0/0 IP address. And remember, the IP address of the fast Ethernet port is the default gateway on the host. This is our way to get out of our network. So we type in 10.0.0.1 and we also put in our subnet mask. And then remember, we always have to type in no shutdown because interfaces are shut down by default, so we have to tell it not to be shut down. Okay, now it says change state to up, so I know that I've configured that correctly. Also, notice that I have green lights, meaning that that is properly configured. My completion rate has also changed down here. Okay, next we're going to do the serial interface. And again, I can tell which is my serial interface on this router by pointing to the cable, and the one on the left is serial 0/0/0. Now, what do you think that little clock means right there? Yep, that means this one needs to have the clock rate. So we will set that as well. IP address is 20.0.0.1. Clock rate is 64,000. And no shutdown. Now, it says interface serial 0/0/0, change state to down. This is because we haven't configured the other side yet. When it's a point-to-point connection, we have to have both sides configured before it will be up and working properly. So now we've done the interfaces for the first router. Now let's do the other router. Now remember, the IP address of the Ethernet port on the other router is the other default gateway. Okay, and that one changed state to up. Now this one's tricky. I just want to point this one out on this lab when you get to it. When we point to this one, it pops up. You can barely see it behind there, but see how it's serial 0/0. There's only 2 zeros, not 3. We can also tell that by hovering over the router, and we can see right there the serial 0/0 is our serial port identifier. and this side does not get the clock rate, so we put in no shutdown. Now notice it says serial 0/0 change state to up. Notice I have all green lights on my topology. So our instructions say all of the link lights are green. On PC 0, go to the desktop, go to the command prompt, and we're going to try to ping this host over here, and that's 30.0.0.2. And it says destination host unreachable. Why do you think that happens? Why did it not work? I have all green lights. Well, we've got to tell router 0 how to get to the 30.0.0.0 network, and we're going to do that with a static route. So we're going to create a static route on router 0 that directs traffic to the 30.0.0.0 network, and this time we're going to use the exit interface. So I get back to my prompt, and I have to get back to global. And at global, remember our static route begins with IP route. Our destination network is 30.0.0.0 with the subnet mask, and it says to use the exit interface. So I'm going to look on router 0's router, and the exit interface is going to be that serial 0/0/0. Okay. So now traffic can get there, but can it get back? Let's try it out. We're going to ping again. And it's taken a long time. And it says request timed out. So what happens here, ping is a command that sends out data and it needs to get an echo reply. Well, because we've sent the data and allowed it to get to the 30 network, that's fine, but it can't get back, so it can't notify us that it knows how to get there. So we've got to create a static route on router 1 that directs the traffic back. So on router 1, I'm going to put in a static route. And what's the network I want to get to this time? Well, remember we're over here, and our Ethernet network over here is the 10.0.0.0. So we're going to do that with our subnet mask. And this time we're going to use the next hop IP address. So from router 1, the next hop IP address would be the IP address of this port. So if I look over here at what I did, the IP address of the other port is 20.0.0.1. So that's what I'm going to do, 20.0.0.1. Now first I can see that my completion rate is 100%. But we're going to try that old ping again and make sure that it works. And there we go. All 4 pings were successful. And we can check it from the other side as well. And that one works as well. So here's our completed lab. Now you need to do the lab, try it yourself, and see if you get to 100%. If you get to 100%, you've met your goals.